Hi everyone, my name is Donald. I'm from Team Dragonsteel. Here with me I have our VP of Creative, Isaac Stewart, and the Art Director on the Wheel of Time Leatherbound, Shawn Boyles. We are just a few hours outside of the Wheel of Time Leatherbound panel we did at JordanCon 2025, and we wanted to go over some of the questions we had from the panel, along with go over some of the cool new material we just did. So the first question that we had was, now that fans have seen the art and design choices for the Eye of the World Leatherbound, is there a particular reaction or moment from the panel that really stuck with you?
Well, I can tell you right away that I don't think that I've been in a panel before where almost every single reveal we got a gasp.
Yeah?
I actually wasn't expecting that. I was expecting some reaction from these things, but it was like almost everything we got a gasp on.
Mhm.
Now we didn't reveal all the art. So hopefully there will be some gasp-worthy moments when people get the books and open it up and see some of these things. But I was really surprised. I've never been in a panel like that where every reveal was a gasp.
I was almost thinking of the reaction, like after the gasp, we had showed the Micah Epstein piece, and then we showed a piece by Jeremy Wilson, and our fans have come to expect almost a certain look for Dragonsteel books, and they're gorgeous and they're amazing, and nobody's doing books like that. They're just great. But this Jeremy Wilson piece was something a bit different than they're used to seeing. So they see this Micah Epstein, which is great and something they're expecting and gorgeous, to this piece, and they're like, wait, this is a vision of the Wheel of Time maybe I wouldn't expect or haven't seen before. We want this world to be so inclusive and to have these different voices and these different looks, and we want to bring you that. So we're going to bring you what you love and what you expect in this great, beautiful form, and we're going to bring you some surprises along the way. And I really kind of dug that reaction that we got.
Yeah, this is we want to cover a lot of different things, a lot of different styles. It was Jeremy Wilson's pieces are stylistically different from a lot of the ones that we've done. They're a little more graphic in nature as far as like graphic design, which I really dig. Every piece you can boil down into a shape language and it makes a good piece, but this is like that deconstructing of some of the art, and we want to show some of those things. And we have pieces that range all between. There's a piece, and I'm going to describe it here, and at some point we'll reveal it, but that has Perrin and Egwene in the hand of Arthur Hawkwing, the stone hand, as the white cloaks are passing by, and there's a wolf kind of on the horizon, and there's some stylistic things that you'll see that tie Perrin with the wolf, and it's one of the best pieces in the book. But I say that, and like each piece, there's something about it that I'm like, this might be the best piece in the book.
So good, yeah.
So
Awesome. I'm curious then, with the art direction of Eye of the World, we have brought up a couple times in the panel that Pater, the one that's kind of been doing a lot of the, you'll know the word for it, the two-tone sketches, he's been kind of leading the pseudo style guide for this, correct?
yeah, I would say it's the style guide, the concept art, the style guide that brings a cohesiveness to the characters in the world, right? That way, if we're showing the White Tower in one piece, it's consistent in the other. The artist might bring their own voice to it, but you can tell it's like the same character in the same building or
No matter the artists that we get for the 7 color pieces that we're doing, Pater is looking to be our artist for the two-tone pieces, and he's done some beautiful color stuff, so we'll see if maybe he does one in the future. But he'll kind of be that through line through the books for the symbols and a lot of the two-tone pieces, the maps and things like that. So that's the style you'll get, and get these pops of other looks here and there with the color pieces.
Yeah, we've tried to be consistent with the interior art, like the two-tone interior art. We feel like that is almost part of the design of the book.
Okay.
If that makes sense. His pieces have a little bit of a inked feel, maybe slightly woodcut, but there's a different sort of organic feel to his pieces that jives really well overall as a. That's why one of the reasons I didn't do the maps in this is because we wanted Pater's style to be consistent through the whole thing.
Gotcha. speaking of the maps, I wanted to touch on that slightly. We brought it up a little bit at the panel, some of the map work that you had done initial layouts for it, then handed off to Pater and stuff. Do you suspect there will be other maps other than the main one that we might touch in future works or anything like that?
Yeah, we're planning on doing the exact same maps that are in all of the books.
Okay.
So we're not deviating from. We're putting those maps in the same places in the books. They're just going to be in Pater's style, and we recognize that we stand on the shoulders of those who have designed this world before. John M. Ford, Thomas Canty, Alyssa Mitchell. So we're using their work as a launching point, but we're not deviating too much from that. You're going to recognize all the places and things. It's just going to be a different style.
Cool.
It's going to the, we want to give the fans, this is a book they've loved for 30 years, and we want to give them that best version of it. So if there was a map in book 2 that they have used and referenced and they've kind of learned, they're not going to memorize the streets, but they've learned this map. So it's like, here it is. Here's that map that you know. Here's that symbol, that icon that you know and love, and give it to them in that best form that we can.
Okay. I mean, that's going to be awesome. Speaking of some of the style choices, I wanted to go back to the overall design of the book. Have there been any, like, smallish details that no one else is really going to notice that you guys absolutely have fallen in love with?
We're putting a lot of symbolism into like the cover and other things in the book, because there's a lot of numbers and symbols that are in the books. 13 means something. 7 means something. And there's things like 3.
3 means something.
3 means something. The number of Emmons Fielders, 5, right? That come out.
We were even at one point we were drawing thumbnails of the cover, not even necessarily the cover of what it would end up being, but we were spitballing stuff and had a list of numbers written down on the board next to it with kind of what they meant. It's like, there are 5 people that leave Emmons Field. There are 7 colors of Aja. There are 13, all these different things. And as we were designing the cover, we were like, what if there were 7 of these over here? What if there were maybe 5 of these over here? What if this, and that, what if through this series there was this? And so we were thinking about those things. Some of it made it in, some of it didn't. But there are some things like
7
that.
seals on the Dark One's prison. 8 Ajas.
Well, if you're including
Well, I'm going to reference back to a conversation I had with Shawn a little earlier during the convention. We had gone over the symbolism of the thing around the book.
The border.
The border. You had told me this was a stylized version of the actual wheel itself. Are you able to dig into that a little bit?
Maybe we'll dig into that, like even further detail. But what we'd wanted to do is, what if you take that Wheel of Time symbol, the snake, eating its own tail, and then the wheel around it, and what if you almost, deconstructed it, and then we loved these Celtic knots, and you didn't want a Celtic knot that meant something in Ireland or Scotland. You wanted, maybe what if you took that principle of weaving in and out, which weaving is important in the Wheel of Time, and you applied it to that symbol and deconstruct it, and so that border that we have really is a deconstructed Wheel of Time symbol multiplied on itself, which again, it's infinite, it goes, it comes and goes and all that stuff. So if you look at it, you could probably deconstruct it. We might go into some more detail about it later and really kind of show the fans what we did.
It was to untangle that knot, that was a lot of fun.
It was really funny too, because Isaac had done one, and I was thinking around the same thing. It's like, well, I wanted to take a stab at it as well, and I did it, and we ended up at the exact same place.
So either
we found the same answer to this problem that we both had.
So either we're very generic, or it's just serendipitous.
It was another one
it's
of those.
Serendipitous.
Shawn, Isaac, you guys spend too much time together. You're thinking like, holy crap.
Yeah, the brain waves.
All right, so going through the whole process of the book, from original conception to the now almost finalized piece, what surprised you the most that came out in the book?
The book, like the design-wise?
Yeah, what design choice were you like, this was something we weren't expecting to come through during this whole process, but we're kind of glad it led in this way?
So when Matt and I went back to Charleston
Mhm.
and asked a lot of questions of Harriet and Maria, just trying to find out what is going to be a good leatherbound for them. What's in their head? What should we do? What should we not do? What are their ideas on this? Because we really want this to be a project that they are also proud of and can feel like they can endorse. So we're very, very cognizant of that. And one of the things was we asked, like, do you care what color of leather these books are?
Mhm.
And Matt and I had talked at first about doing blue leather because we feel like that first cover by Daryl K. Sweet with the blue night sky feels very iconic. It's become a very iconic image. And so we thought, well, blue would be a really nice color to do for these books, maybe like a, medium blue. But we had done other blue books. Elantris is like a midnight blue. We've got kind of a Stormlight book that is a slightly different blue. And we wanted these to have their own identity. And as we thought about that, there were, we could go black leather. But what is going to look good? What's going to feel stylistically right? And so the surprise kind of is that we led down to a red color. And we wound up needing to make a custom leather color for that.
How many swatches did we get of that?
Probably 6
or 7 different
6 or
swatches.
7.
That, when we'd get it,
What is a swatch for those of us who don't know?
he'd send us just a little piece of leather, this big, something like that, and you would hold it kind of on the book and feel it and see how the texture was, and you'd look at it in the light, and you'd look at it in natural light, and how does it feel, how does it look? And so he had various reds, and,
ranging from burgundy up to, I think we're calling this like a rosebud red,
Yeah.
but we're doing a custom color. The tannery will make some changes. They send it back to us. We had a pretty clear vision once we had decided on red, where we wanted to go. We didn't want to go too burgundy because that would look like the Mistborn books that we have.
Right.
So we wanted a very kind of a little more vibrant, but classy red, I guess.
classy.
Not that a bright red can't be classy, but Dragon Reborn, red and gold really kind of feels like the colors. Red, gold, black. So those are kind of what we're
Rand
doing
with that red coat with the gold trim type of thing, and so it felt
and his
right.
dragon tattoos,
right.
right?
It just felt right.
Which I can't think of that Fountains of Wayne song without thinking of Rand's red dragon tattoo.
The surprise that I had for me, to quote
Yeah.
was almost a process. I wasn't sure how it would work going into it. Some of my favorite moments of when we were doing the book, I had done, 40 different sketches of the cover.
Yeah,
we
did
just
a lot of
threw
those.
them on the floor, just sketches and sketches and sketches. But the best stuff seemed to come where it's like, okay, we're just buzzing with excitement about it. And then we would just use the whiteboard in Isaac's office. And we'd grab pens. And we would just, what about this, and what about this? And you'd erase a little bit here, and then you'd draw a little one over here. And those were my favorite moments because it was just almost just this pure creative energy bubbling out. And the cover that is the cover that we showed, which isn't the final cover, but it's
really close.
Close to the final cover. There's some tweaks we're making. But that came from that session. It wasn't from any of those sketches like this is the one. It was from that collaborative motion that we had going there, which was so much fun.
But we needed those sketches to get to that point.
To get to it, for sure.
Because, I'd been doodling things too, and you've been doing a lot of these sketches, and I think we both had some ideas in our head, and we went through all those sketches, and we like this here, we like this here. But it kind of helped us eliminate certain things, because we had an idea of where this might go. And we actually didn't go that direction.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, so
We had a direction we really liked, and then in the end we were like, we like this.
It just didn't solidify how we thought it was going to be. Part of it was the limitations of how you can put foil on covers, but I like where we wound up. I think it looks really iconic and classy, but it came out of that, basically that brainstorming meeting where we're focusing a couple of brains on one design problem. Which is something I hear they do at MIT with math problems.
Gotcha.
It's kind of you'll have 3 professors in a room looking at the same problem, and whoever they're just brain power going at it, and then they'll hand the whiteboard marker over to one of them who will make some changes. And it's a really good way to solve problems. We've seen it in action with art several times.
It's happened a couple times in the past year, yeah.
Is that the creative think tank,
Yeah,
basically?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
All
like, hey, we're going to set aside this time, and we're going to break this problem. We're going to figure it out. It's kind of like
Gotcha.
the writer's room they do in television too, right? It's like,
Right.
let's get everybody in the same room. We're thinking about these problems. We're gonna break this and get it.
I'm
it down.
curious then, and I'm sure some people will be interested, what would you say the biggest break was for the Leatherbound, for Wheel of Time? For this first one at the very least. Where was the biggest and hardest one to try and get through that problem?
Like the whole design.
Yeah. Was there a specific design kink that you were like, we got to spend some time with this. Let's pull everyone in and break through this.
I mean, well, the cover was one.
Cover was one. The font might be another.
Yeah, we had
12 or 13 different fonts that we were kind of going through. That was less of a break, though, and more of a
we were just figuring out the design.
figuring out, go through, and it was a nope, and kind of feel on it.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Part of it too, I think, we were trying to figure out what do we do with these two-tone illustrations for a while. Do we, we knew we wanted several of them in there. We discussed possibly making some things diegetic, but then realized that would take a lot of continuity and a lot of working with, it just didn't feel like that felt like we were adding too much
Gotcha.
to the story. It's like kind of like what we do with the Stormlight books where we have illustrations.
Right.
But we thought these just need to be narrative illustrations. So that was something that we solved, and then we're like, well, who does these? Do we hire a bunch of artists like we do with the full color illustrations? And that was about the time that Peter Penniff was doing concept art for the Singers and the Parshendi for us, trying to make sure that race of characters in Stormlight is cohesive. And I started to realize this guy's a big Wheel of Time fan too, so I started he didn't know that we had this project. So I started feeling it out, found out that he's a really big fan. How would you feel if by chance we ever could do something with the Wheel of Time,
Hypothetically
right?
speaking, what if...
Right, found out this was a dream project for him, and so we brought him onto the project, and that's kind of when that all fell into place.
Gotcha.
The stylistically, because I think we're like, what are we going to do with the symbols? What are we going to do with the designs? We had some ideas of like going back to the Dove's Press and the Canterbury Tales that were done with I can't remember, Kelmscott Press back around the turn of the century. Trying to figure out, is there a way to do this that feels a little medieval? That feels like that could work. There's like some 1600s sort of designs that feel really good within the time period of the Wheel of Time, and so I had in my head all of that. But once we hired Peter for this project, a lot of his design sensibilities, it's like we kind of synergized that into what we have now.
Gotcha.
And I think even what helped solidify it even more, you guys had gone out, you and Matt had gone out to Charleston, showed a bunch of Peter's drawings to them, and their reaction was just like, yes.
Yeah.
This is Perrin. Oh my gosh, look at what they did with Loyal. And so their reaction was like, Peter's doing it right. We're getting this right. This synergy here is working for the people that it really needs to work for. And I don't think without that reaction, I'm not sure what would have happened. With that reaction, it's like, yeah, we hit on something here. Let's go with it.
We spent a lot of time trying to figure out if this more elaborate design, more intricate design, using some of the border symbols and things that we had talked about was going to work. We were looking back to artists like Mucha and Morris and trying to say, can we do something like this? And everything that we came up with, I felt like this is going to look dated in 20 years.
Gotcha.
And if
It might look dated by book 14 or book 13.
Yeah, it's like,
like,
and I feel like the design that we came up with is a good balance between something different and something expected. And I hope it's going to feel fresh for 20
really
years.
Classic, very, just...
It's not going to, you're not suddenly going to have this like 1980s style house on your bookshelf, right? I hope that these look classy and stay fresh for a long time.
I feel like we have to wrap this up with, if it's possible, can you pick your quote-unquote favorite part of at least the Eye of the World Leatherbound at the present moment for you?
I think, and this isn't necessarily to say it's my favorite illustration, because every artist really did a great job, and each piece that would come in, I'm like, oh wait, maybe it's this one, maybe it's this one. I remember reading Eye of the World for the first time, and talking with Isaac as I was reading it. We were friends back then, and I say that we were friends back then and we're not anymore. We were friends back then.
We made this book, and now it's like, how are we going to make 15 of these?
I remember talking with Isaac about it, that the beginning of the book, you have a Murdral on the road that feels similar to maybe a Black Rider from Lord of the Rings, right? You have these people who need to leave their village into a wider world, and it felt familiar, right? It felt like a lot like Tolkien. And Isaac was even telling me, it's like, and that's exactly what he wanted.
That's
he wanted you to feel familiar and then break off into this bigger world. And I remember reading when they get to Shadar Logoth and they're split up, they're physically split up, and they go their separate ways, and things start to enter a wider world. Perrin starts to communicate with wolves, and Rand starts to, do some things that he is not in control of, and the story starts to move. And that was kind of a big moment for me reading the books, where, okay, we've taken you on a familiar journey, and now we're taking you somewhere else. And so that's a piece that we'll reveal later on, but there is a piece from Shadar Logoth where, okay, we're exiting into the wider world now. We are splitting, we're breaking this paradigm that you thought you had going on there. That was always important to me.
The symbolism in that piece.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's been fun to play with symbolism in these books.
Gotcha.
The symbolism in that piece, the artist gave it to us, and we looked at it and we're like, if you just change these few things, this is going to be so symbolically cool that you can't even imagine it. So
Yeah.
I love what happened with that piece.
So good.
We'll reveal it someday.
Someday.
Someday soon. Secrets.
Yeah. So I'm just really proud of the whole package. I'm proud of the design that came out of it. I feel like we've done a really good job of making this not just one person's book, but really this is it's a production that's been done by many people coming together in a nice package that I feel like this is the Wheel of Time that a lot of us have wanted to see for years and years. And that's not dissing on other versions of the Wheel of Time, but I feel like this is the Wheel of Time that I have wanted and a lot of fans have wanted, and I hope that everybody who picks up this book is either reminded of why they love the series or is inspired to try the series. Because it really is. It's this foundational piece of fantasy literature that I'm so proud to be a part of, and just I feel incredibly lucky to be helping with this.
It's a dream project.
It
it's
is.
a dream.
Awesome. And if you want more exclusive news and to keep up to date when those books will be coming, you can go ahead and sign up for our newsletter in the link below. Other than that, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.